Hi there. So the last thing we are going to do with rational exponents is we're going to talk about negative exponents. So thinking back, that's not what I meant to do, sorry. Thinking back to when we talked about regular exponent rules in the past, if we saw something to a negative power like x to the negative a, that's the same as 1 over x to the positive a. We move negative exponents down to the denominator, and when we do that, they become positive. So negative exponents are kind of like a reciprocal. We will be dealing with some negative exponents today. As a rule of thumb, instead of moving negative exponents automatically, try to simplify things first if you can. And then if you end up with a negative exponent after you've simplified, move it down to the denominator. We still have to think about this. No fraction exponents in the denominator. So we may have to do some rationalizing of denominators like we did with the last video. Let's take a look here. So first, with number 1, we need to start with our product rule. We're multiplying our coefficients. 3 times 3 is 9. X to the 3 over 2 is the only x exponent in that whole problem, so it's going to stay the same. And then for our y's, we know when we multiply, we add exponents. So we're thinking y to the negative 1/2 plus 5 over 4. So let's use Desmos to help us with that. Negative 1 over 2 plus 5 over 4 gives us 0.75, which is the same as 3 over 4. With this problem, I'm actually all finished. I only see each of my coefficients in each of my variables, and I don't have any negative exponents, and I don't have any fraction exponents in the denominator. So even though we started with a negative here, once we simplified, we end up with a positive exponent, so we don't have to worry about moving anything around. So this right here is our final answer. Let's try another one. So for this next one, 3 is the only coefficient, so we're going to have a 3 in our answer no matter what. For m's, sort of like the last problem, I need to add these. I'm thinking m to the 5 over 4 plus negative 3 over 2. So let's do that in Desmos. 5 over 4 plus negative 3 over 2 is negative 0.25 or negative 1 over 4. So I'm going to temporarily write this negative, but it's not going to stay there. N to the 2/3 is the only n exponent, so it's going to stay the same. We know that negative exponents need to be moved down to the denominator. So this is the same as 3n to the 2/3, and then the m to the negative 1/4 moves down and becomes m to the positive 1/4. Now we need to deal with this no fraction exponents in the denominator. This is what we did in the last lesson. What fraction do I add to 1 over 4 to turn it into a whole number? So for whole numbers with denominator 4, 4 over 4 is 1. So what do I need to add to 1 over 4 to turn it into 4 over 4, which is 1? I need to add 3 over 4 because 1 plus 3 is 4. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by m to the 3 over 4. Remember, you're multiplying by what we decided we needed to add on. And then I'm going to clean up my final answer. Up top, just kind of collect things together. 3n to the 2 over 3, m to the 3 over 4. In our denominator, we know that 3/4 plus 1/4 is 1. That was the hard work that we did here already. So I'm going to end up with m to the 1, or just m, down in my denominator. Now inspecting this one more time, I only see positive exponents. I don't see any fraction exponents in the denominator. Everything is as reduced as it can be, so we are good to go. The red thing here, right here, is our final answer. 3 and 4, we're back to our power of a power rule. Remember that when you see inside exponents and outside exponents, you multiply them together. So we need to do negative 1/2 times negative 1/2. You can use Desmos for that. We get, oops, I need to have a time symbol there. I left that out. We get 0.25, which is the same as 1/4. So for x, I get positive 1/4. Let's do the same thing for y. I need to do negative 3 over 2 times negative 1 over 2. Remember, in Desmos, the negative and the minus sign are the same key. 0.75 is the same as 3 over 4. So I get y to the 3 over 4. I didn't end up having with any negative exponents, so I don't need to send anything to the denominator. All of my fractions are reduced. I don't have anything else left to simplify, so this in the green is my final answer. Let's try another one. So same idea, I need to multiply. Negative 3 over 2 times 3 over 4 for a. Which gives me, if I switch that into a fraction, negative 9 over 8. And then same idea for b. I'm going to do 1/3 times 3 over 4. One-third times 3 over 4 is 0.25, which is the same as 1/4. So I get b to the 1/4. I do have a negative exponent, so I need to move that negative exponent down to the denominator. So b to the 1/4 stays up top since it's positive. This becomes a to the 9 over 8 down the denominator. Remember, when you move things down, the exponent becomes positive. We're good, except for we don't want a fraction exponent in the denominator. What number do I need to add to 9 over 8 to turn it into a whole number? So 8 over 8 is 1. We can't use that because 9 is bigger than 8. Next up would be 16 over 8, which is 2. So what do I need to add to 9 to turn it into 16? 9 over 8 plus 7 over 8 will give me 16 over 8. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by a to the 7 over 8. Okay. So when I do that, I get just kind of collect things together. B to the 1/4, a to the 7 over 8 stays the same. And when I add these together, I get 9 over 8 plus 7 over 8 is 16 over 8, which is 2. So I get a squared down in the denominator. So that right there in the red is my final answer. All right, let's try two last problems. So these ones, first of all, notice that they look like quotient rules, so we're going to start there. With our coefficients in number 5, 2 over 3 doesn't reduce, so no matter what, we're going to have 2 on top, 3 on the bottom. For our x's, again, thinking back to quotient rule, I need to subtract top exponent minus bottom exponent. You need to be really careful here because I need to do -1 minus negative 7 over 4. You got some double negative action there. So let's try that out in Desmos. -1 minus negative 7 over 4 gives us 0.75, which is the same as, oops, that was loud, sorry, x to the 3 over 4. Now let's do the same thing for our y's. I have 3 over 2 on top minus a -2 on the bottom. So again, don't forget that double negative. 3 over 2 minus -2 gives us 3.5, which is the same as 7 over 2. So let's pause. Are we allowed to leave this as a final answer? My coefficients are reduced. I don't have any negative exponents anywhere in the problem, and I don't have any fraction exponents in the denominator. So this right here is a perfectly good final answer. Last one, same idea. Only coefficient in the whole problem is 4, so no matter what, we're going to have a 4 coefficient in our answer. Top exponents minus bottom exponents. For x, we have -1 minus the bottom exponent 2 over 3. So let's try that in Desmos. -1 minus 2 over 3 is going to give us, if I switch that to a fraction, -5 over 3. I'm temporarily going to write that as a negative, but it's not going to stay that way forever. Y, same idea. Top exponent is 5 over 4. Bottom exponent is a hidden 1. 5 over 4 minus 1 is 0.25, which is the same as 1 over 4. We know that with negative exponents, they need to go to the denominator. So this x to the 5 over 3 needs to go down to the denominator. So 4 and y to the 1/4 get to stay up top. X to the -5 over 3 becomes x to the +5 over 3 down in the denominator. We're closer to being done, but we're not quite there yet. We need to deal with this 5 over 3. We do not want a fraction exponent in the denominator. What fraction do I add to 5 over 3 to turn that into a whole number? 3 over 3 is 1. The next one would be 6 over 3, which is 2. That's the one we're going to use. What do I need to add to 5 over 3 to turn it into 6 over 3? 5 plus 1 is 6, so I'm going to add 1 over 3 in order to make that happen. In order to add that 1 over 3, I multiply top and bottom by x to the 1/3. I've got most of the hard work done, I just need to clean up my answer. Up top, things I pretty much collect together: 4, y to the 1/4, x to the 1/3. Down in the denominator, 5 over 3 plus 1 over 3. We know that simplifies into 2, so we get x to the 2, or x squared. Double checking, I don't see any negative exponents. All my fractions are reduced. And I don't have any fraction exponents in the denominator. That was the whole point of doing this process right here. So this right here is my final answer. That is it for today. So this kind of combined all of our exponent rules, but this is as crazy as things will get for this unit. Have a fantastic day.